Welcome back, everyone, to another incredible episode of Chat with Dan here for today on the show. What can I say? I'm already speechless and we haven't even started yet because we have an incredible, amazing guest. We have on the show the incredible, the amazing, the badass, the superstar, the legendary, the one and only, even a superhero. Let's find out. The incredible Violet. Violet, how are you today?
I'm good. That was such a lovely introduction. Oh my goodness.
Absolutely. Better way to have an incredible, super badass Wednesday to be chatting with someone as badass as you. You know what I mean?
Thanks.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Now, if you are new to the channel, you know the drill. Don't forget to leave a like, subscribe, follow. It helps a lot. But also in the description below, you're going to find a lot of Violet's social media. Let's follow her, let's share some love, and let's find out why she's super badass. And without further more, let's jump in. So, I want to start this whole conversation by throwing out the first question, which is, when you first stepped into acting, tell me, what did you think that it would give you, and what has it given you?
I like that question. Well, I first started acting when I was super young as a kid, but I would do it for fun. So I think I was just looking to get like this playfulness or this escape out of it as kids get when they play with each other. But I think the decision to pursue it as a career was very intentional in terms of like who I wanted to grow into, because I was going to become a therapist, and that path, I foresaw me becoming a version of myself that wasn't as full and alive. And when I performed, I felt like I was gaining more insight into myself based on who I had to show up to be when I was performing, not just in a scene, but like off screen in rehearsal. So that version of Violet, who's like the fullest, freest version of herself, and like so bold. Like I grew up so shy, and I thought that's the narrative I told myself, is I would never be able to be a performer because I wasn't like confident or bold enough. I became that version of myself the more that I performed. So just being intentional about who I wanted to be and what career path would bring me towards that was why I chose to become an actor, and I for sure have gotten that out of it.
What were some of the first kind of challenges that you encounter as you were starting out with your career?
The most amazing thing about acting is the presence it demands of you, and I think that as actors, we're very in control of that, and figuring out how to cultivate our presence is one of the skills that we need to have. So, the stories that we tell ourselves about rejection, I can sit here and I can be super upset and make it about me, or I can redirect the narrative I'm telling myself about me and about, the situation. So I think the biggest challenge was figuring out, really getting in control of my energy and my presence. Like when I show up for an audition, what story am I telling myself about me? How can I recover quickly from rejection? So those challenges, I think, were solved by the fact that I viewed it as a hobby. So when I first graduated and decided to go into acting, I told myself that I would do my other career, which was executive coaching. So I taught storytelling to people in business, which was also a lot of fun. So I would do that, and in my free time, I would audition. And that way, when I walked into an audition room, I wasn't of the perspective of, I need this job, I'm not enough, I'm trying to get you to like me. It was from the perspective of, this is fun and this is playful, and I'm going to like play with you in the room, and we're going to both have fun. And if we get to do it again and book a job, great. If not, I'm going to go to another audition and also play. So I think that helped me really quickly get over the challenge of rejection and the need to have a job in acting. So yeah, so the challenges that most people face as actors, and that I talk to a lot of my actor friends about, I feel like I was able to correct or get ahead of pretty easily just by shifting my perspective. So
At this point, tell me, what do you think that is one of the biggest misconceptions that people have about actors?
I think people think that actors are fake, that like acting is a performance, and when we perform, we're putting something on that's not genuine. I think if it's done well, and the actors that I like being around and the acting that I like is comes from a place of a version of yourself that is coming forward. So I studied in school performance mindfulness, this idea that we can bring mindfulness to any role that we step into, whether it's the role of a mother, the role of a teacher, whatever role we play in our lives. It doesn't have to be an actor, but we are always in some kind of performance. And to look at our performance in our lives as something that is genuine and just a part of ourselves that is authentic and coming forward is how I also think about performing in a role in acting. So I think when we look at actors as people that have this superpower to like find truthfulness in things that aren't necessarily immediately true in front of them, like using your imagination to like create this truthfulness, I think that's really special. So and a lot of people are like, "Oh, you're used to acting, you're used to performing, you're used to like turning it on and being fake." And I think that that's totally incorrect.
Do you think also that somehow acting can help you understand or learn more about society at the same time?
Totally. I think it starts with learning more about yourself. I think that is the foundation for any other like insights or growth that come out of it. Like if you're not paying attention to what's happening and what's changing inside of you and who you're being, I think the rest of the growth kind of gets thrown out the window. But on the performance side of it, I think you learn a lot about like communities and how to be collaborative. This is my favorite fact, my favorite fun fact ever that improv and like theater games were born as a form of social work. So kids are able to, these kids in like disadvantaged families or orphanages were able to solve their any social problem that arose when they were playing a game because they had a common goal to be collaborative and keep the game going. So any problems that arose between them or social conflicts, they were able to just work through. And I think that when you apply that to, I mean, it's my favorite thing to apply when I'm on set or I'm in rehearsal. It's like, okay, personalities are starting to, you know, not align. It's like, how do we just play with each other and keep the game going? And I think that that has really impacted how I view just society and social relationships in general. I think it's healing if we're doing it with the common goal to be collaborative and give and take and understand that dynamic.
Okay, okay. And have you found that playing characters sometimes could reveal parts of, yeah, like truths or parts about yourself that maybe at that point, for some reason, you weren't ready or wanted to face somehow?
Yeah, I think not in the sense that maybe not in the sense that I played a character and there was something ugly that came out that I didn't like. I don't think I've ever had that experience, but I do think there was one instance I was doing a play. This was one of the first things I did as an actor, which was the experience that made me be like, "Okay, I need to do this full time professionally." I was doing a play, and I'm typically, like, pretty soft spoken. It takes effort for me to take up space, and in the play, there was a scene where I had to walk in and, like, see someone that I loved dead and the person who killed them right across from them, and so it was this whole scene of, like, the character yelling at the person who murdered him and all this stuff. And I could not like get it. I did not give myself permission to like be loud and get ugly and everything that comes with it. And the director pulled me aside and was like, I've witnessed this happen in real life. Like this is a real life situation that I have seen. And the ugliness and the like grit and the sounds that happen when someone is grieving like this is like she will never forget it. So it was a moment I'll never forget that like giving myself permission to be that like loud, like just something as simple as like hearing my voice in space was jarring to me. And the rehearsal process into the performance of that scene was something that made me realized was an uncomfortable discovery because I realized that I had not given myself that permission before to be, like, messy and ugly and, like, work on really gritty, dark stuff. So it wasn't that the character was doing something that I, didn't like that I had to do, it was more so that I was sad that I hadn't given myself permission to be that, like, big and messy before. And that ended up changing the course of like the kind of actor that I allowed myself to be.
You know, you're giving me this kind of badass vibe, so I'm like, oh, okay, I get it. I start to discover why you're badass. I love it. Pretty
Thank
cool.
you.
And what's the most beautiful lie you have told on screen, or the most painful truth you had to embody?
I was doing a play called Cry It Out by Molly Smith Metzler. A beautiful play if you ever are into reading plays. It's a great one. But I was playing a mother. It's a story about like a bunch of mothers, but different types of moms. So one is like a teen mom, one is like the classic baking pies with her apron on the porch mom, and one is like a working mom who is not stay at home. And I was playing the working one, and the play is everyone else spends most of the play like talking about how horrible of a mother she is and all this stuff. And I like when at first I agreed. I was like, I don't like her, and my job isn't to make people like the character. My job is to just play the character, but I don't like her, and I'm trying not to judge her. And she has this beautiful monologue at the end where she's like egging someone's house, and she's like, "Don't talk about me. Don't like you don't know me. I am allowed to be like I am a good mother and all this stuff." And I had to prepare myself to lie through that monologue because I didn't believe it. She in the play, like I thought, didn't believe it. And so it was this like beautifully crafted monologue and like point that women don't have to be exactly what you need them to be kind of thing. But I didn't believe it. I disagreed with it. And so it was this like this beautiful lie that I was telling. But something interesting happened is like there was a shorter version of the monologue that we were working with. And I ended up before the first performance finding like the longer version. And in the longer version, she goes into saying like I do hold my daughter. I hold her when no one's home. But I just because I go to work doesn't make me less of a mother because you're sitting here baking pies on the porch. She's like, you don't get to tell me how to be a parent. And it was just a total shift in perspective that I'm like, yeah, she's right. Like she's onto something. And and that was the gift that the character gave me. It was like discovering that I had the capacity to like change my mind on that and like root for her and be like, no, she's awesome. And so the lie turned into like the truth about what society expects from women and how they actually should behave and that there's no should. It's just like out of love and kindness and all that stuff.
I like it. And let's go. Let's switch it now and go for the painful truth.
I've had to work with a lot of painful truths, mostly because I work with a lot of classical text. So Shakespeare, I had a teacher say that Shakespeare, to understand Shakespeare is to know that he just walked out and like wrote people. So it's just like evidence of how life works and the high stakes and painful truths about the way that the world works. So I've had a lot of experiences with that and being like really ugly and uncomfortable in those scenes. But I did a version of Chekhov's The Seagull. I'm not sure if you know Chekhov, but it's like Chekhov was a physician, and I believe he didn't write to make a commentary on anything. He wrote what he saw, like as a scientist does. Like he writes what he observes. So the result is just like pure human behavior and facts about life that are just given to the audience for them to do what they will with it. So in the final version, the final act of The Seagull, this character Nina has this scene where typically she's has this monologue where she's almost like schizophrenic and she's so broken by what happened to her and she's telling everyone like I was used, you hurt me, all this stuff. She's just like delirious. And the brilliant director that I worked with and I crafted this version of her that was like, no, I actually like I'm not delirious. I'm not like hurt and beaten down. I have something to say to you. And I'm going to teach you what happens with life, which is things change and things suck and people betray you and it hurts and we're never going to get back to it. And the only thing I can do now is move forward. And Violet hates change and hates when people leave and you lose things, and it like I that is something that really gets to the core of me. So having to deliver that monologue and teach that to someone, like that truth, and watch their eyes like process it, and that like broke and rebuilt and broke and rebuilt over and over again a part of me that didn't want to accept that that was true about the world. Instead of just like giving in to the hysteria of it, she was like, "No, I'm going to stay on you and I'm going to teach you about this." That was hard, but it was also a beautiful thing, I think.
Based on all of this, what are your thoughts on society right now?
That's a good I think society needs art right now more than anything. Like, I grew up in a very politicized I grew up in New York City, went to high school in Times Square, was part of the public school system. Like, I grew up in a very, like, politicized, history and social study heavy education system, and in transitioning from, like, the very academic side of it to the more artistic side of it, has been a weird gap because in some ways I felt, like, helpless. I'm like, I'm not doing enough to contribute to, like, everything that I think is wrong with the world now, and have changed my mind since, and I'm like, "No, more than anything, we need art. We need people telling stories," and I think every good story has some element that's political, because it's making some kind of statement about the way that we care for each other, the way that we operate, the way that we collaborate, even if it's not about, like, the government or society, even if it's not, like, an outright commentary on society. I think the way that we treat each other is so fundamental to healing the rest of it, and I think that art showcases that more than anything else. Like, with the product of whatever film or play is created, but also, like, how we collaborate on set and off screen and in rehearsal and that kinda stuff. I think society is broken right now, and I think we need art more than ever, and it breaks my heart, but I think that, like, especially being part of the theater community in New York, like, the way that that community can, like, come together and rally for each other and make really beautiful things is a little healing for me. Yeah.
It gives you hope, right? Yeah, I think that it's important that we stick with that, with hope that eventually things will get better. For sure, it's challenging right now.
Yeah.
There's been days in which I'm like, I don't want to, I want to sell everything and move to a cabin in the middle of the most corner place in the world so I couldn't never learn more about what is going on here. But yet
Yeah.
again, I'm like, but there's moments in which I'm like, okay, so there's still hope. And I do think that the more we're able to believe that things eventually will get better,
Yeah.
I think more positivity will be around because I do sometimes think that it amazes me, and I don't know, it shocks me. Yeah, it shocks me that at this point we treat ourselves more violently and more aggressive than ever. You know what I mean? So yeah, I do hope that. As I said, I do hope things eventually will get better. Sure, I do think that at this point we're kind of in this middle of a transition. It's uncomfortable, but I do think that eventually we'll get into a point in which we're gonna be like, oh, we're actually we can heal. You know what I mean? And with art, I do agree. It's when you have the opportunity to heal because you can get inspired. You can learn about something new. You can have conversation with people. I do think that art is kind of the safe space for everybody to talk about anything you want. Because it's kind of a mm, permitted to do it. You know what I mean?
Mhm. Yeah.
So yeah.
Yeah. I think the thing that breaks my heart the most right now is the way that we talk about each other. I think, especially in the media, the way that we talk about other human beings has gotten really, really vile, and I think the solution to that is working together on things, and I think there's nothing more collaborative than art and stories, and that's why I've been so healed just by, like, the theater community and artists that come together and care so deeply about each other, like, unconditionally. So, I think that that's the solution, that art is the antidote to all the vile things that are happening right now in terms of how we think about and treat each other and lack empathy.
What has been harder for you? The moments of failure or the moments of success, and why?
hot take, but for sure the moments of success for me. Because the moments of failure, as I was saying earlier, like I've gotten good at controlling the narrative, and as actors, I think we actually have the blessing of not hearing back. I think when we don't, because most of the time you don't hear a no, you just don't hear anything. And I think not hearing the no or not hearing the reason gives us the freedom to control the story that we have. And for me, the story is it can't be personal because then I won't survive in this industry. So I think I've gotten good at controlling the failure, 'cause if it's not for me and it's not happening to me or for me, then it can stay on its own. But the moments of success are very relevant to me, and that's when I really have to step up and figure out how to move forward. That's when I learn the most about myself and the most uncomfortable things about myself. So I am such a perfectionist, and I have really bad imposter syndrome. I feel like any moment of success I have, it's like, "Okay, great, now I have to, like, show up and deliver," and it's hard for me to feel like what I'm delivering is ever good enough, and that's something that I really had to work through and be comfortable being seen in process and, um, feeling like I deserve it, feeling like I deserve to book this thing, or I deserve this praise or compliment, like, that is it's and I'm figuring out why it's deeply uncomfortable to me, but that's also the thing that's exciting is I feel myself growing, like, I feel the obstacles and how to get over them, but I only really feel the obstacles in moments of success.
Now, how do you protect your own identity when you're constantly slipping into the lives of others?
I feel it's interesting, I don't ever feel like my identity is threatened because I view acting as not becoming someone else, but living under the as if, which is playful and low stakes. It's like using your imagination. I think I would never survive as the actor who is more method and stays in it. I'm the actor that in between setups and takes we're like playing board games and messing with each other and laughing. And so I never feel like I'm losing Violet. I feel like it's all just different versions of Violet that would exist as if this were true. So in these circumstances, what would I do? Or what intuitively happens then if we're playing in these circumstances? So more than feeling like my identity is threatened, I feel like my identity is nourished by being in these different worlds or situations. And I've gotten good at being selective, therefore, in what stories and situations I'll put myself in, just because it's like, who am I becoming and what am I learning about myself through these characters? I want to be intentional about what characters those are and what stories those are. So, does that answer your question? That it doesn't feel like my identity is threatened. It's nourished.
What is the cost of vulnerability for you? Not just in front of the camera, but in life.
I think when you're vulnerable, you open yourself up for judgment. I mean, there's always judgment, but there's a more honest version of you that they're judging. It's easy when you're curating your image for people or your responses for people and you're crafting this thing that they're going to judge, but when it's just free and open and they're judging who you actually are because you're just being honest and vulnerable, that's more uncomfortable because it's like the judgment is right. That not that their opinion is right, but like they're judging an authentic thing. That's the cost, especially because I think that there are not kind people out there that will weaponize your vulnerability or weaponize things that they learn about you or know about you to hurt you. I can't say that that's really happened to me yet, but I think I have always chosen to be the version of myself that I want to be, and that is me, and whatever people do with that is on their conscience, but and it's weird also, like, I'm 23 years old, I am pretty young, and to know that I'm still in process and I'm still growing and I'm shifting so much, especially in my early 20s, to not have a fully formed sense of who I am yet, and I don't know if anyone ever really does, but to be figuring that out at the same time that other people are figuring it out about me, right? Like the industry responds to me too. It's a dialogue. So seeing how they respond to me and how the industry sees me, the only choice I have is to be vulnerable because we're both learning about me at the same time. So I might as well like choose the path that feels most like intuitively right for me, or the version of myself that feels the most right.
What's the most vulnerable you ever felt in front of the camera, and how did you turn that into strength?
I feel vulnerable when I feel seen through, and I have to let that just happen. So, especially when there's, like, a camera in your face, they see and my face has subtitles, like, I always like, you can see what's happening. Um, I cannot hide anything, so when I feel most vulnerable when Violet is scared or Violet feels inadequate, and I have to still show up and perform because even when I feel capable, I still know that other people are seeing, like, me doubt myself. So I had a situation recently where I had, like, a really big imposter syndrome on set and was, like, really uncomfortable in my own body, and I pride myself on being, like, grounded and self-possessed and all this stuff. So I was feeling, like, really uncomfortable as Violet, and I didn't deserve to be here, and, "Oh my god, they're gonna find out that they made a mistake casting me, and this is not the right decision." And the camera was, like, this close in my face, and the scene wasn't something that was vulnerable, but the director was trying. I just wasn't getting it over and over and over and over and over again. So for me to stop and admit, like, "I'm nervous right now. I'm uncomfortable in my own skin, and I can't hide right now. Like, I can't hide in front of the camera. I can't hide in front of all these people. I'm being directed to be more like Violet, more like myself." And the version of Violet that's here right now is one that's just scared and feels inadequate. Just I forget what question you even asked me, I'm, like, going on a tangent, but just, like, the moment of admitting that to myself and admitting it to everyone around me, like, cleared the air of that. And it was a gift to be vulnerable and just admit, like, "I don't feel like I'm enough, and that's enough right now. Like, that's okay for this moment." And then I got over it. But I feel most vulnerable when I feel seen through, when I feel like I don't have anywhere to hide in my body or my mind, and on camera exemplifies that. But at the end of the day, like, I don't wanna hide. Like, I don't want to be creating anything that's not true. Like, if I show up one day and I'm nervous or scared, like, that can be true at the same time as I'm also overcoming it and doing my job. So
Now, besides, as we know now, besides being an incredible, super badass actress, you also do modeling every now and then. So, tell me, what has modeling taught you about beauty that you never could have learned anywhere else?
I think that it's just reinforced the fact for me that, like, the most authentic thing is the most beautiful, and I know it's such a cliche, but, like, looking back at pictures of myself, like, I feel the most beautiful, like, in pictures where I'm smiling. Like, this is, like, gonna make me emotional. Like, I feel the most beautiful in pictures where, like, I'm smiling and, like, my mom or my grandma will look at the picture and they're like, "That's my Violet." Like, instead of the ones that are, like, heavily edited or photoshopped or any of the stuff that, like, these, you know, commercial or print things will do to your face, like, I was really taken aback by, like, just how precious, like, the moments where I saw myself the most were. And I notice it in other people too, like, when I look at other people's, like, modeling or print portfolios or stuff on Instagram that they post, I'm like, when I see them and I see, like, them, like, smiling, or I, like, see them like, right there behind their eyes, I'm like, that's what I feel drawn to now. Like, that's what I find the most beautiful. And I knew that before, and I know that in acting, but with modeling where there's, like, such a specific beauty standard, and I feel like everyone looks the same nowadays, like, to or I was happily surprised that value was reinforced. The value of, like, savoring the joy and the authenticity, like, I was happy that that got reinforced through my and I haven't had a ton of modeling experience, but, like, through the little moments there. Yeah.
Do you see modeling as art or as something else entirely?
I was surprised, so I'm an actor first, and I was surprised with modeling, like, how tied it is to acting, like, to having a perspective and a point of view and a thought and, like, feeling free enough and bold enough to go after it. So, for sure, I view it as art, and I have a newfound respect for models, not that I didn't have it before, but really, like, they have to be very inhabited and comfortable in their own skin in order to, like, tell those stories just through a picture instead of having the luxury of having a whole, like, scene or video or whatever to portray it. I think it's difficult. I don't think I'm very good at it, and that's okay, but I have a lot of respect for people who do it. It's for sure art.
Do you think models can carry storytelling by the way the photo is made?
Absolutely, absolutely. And I think everything is tied into it, like coloring and composition, and people are so talented with, like, costumes and makeup and hair. I think every single piece of it is central to the storytelling, and same thing with film, like, and theater too, but with film, you can be more deliberate in terms of your, like, composition, and it's very intentional and crafted, and they'll be like, "Oh, wait, before we shoot, move that lamp over," and stuff like that. And everyone it's such a team effort, and I think everyone brings something to it that adds to the storytelling.
Now, switching to our next section, speed round questions, yes, no, or pass. Super simple. Can ask a couple of questions in which you can only answer yes, no, or maybe pass. You ready?
Okay.
Cool. So, do you believe every role changes you?
Yes.
Have you ever turned down a role you still think about?
Wait, think about for good reasons or bad reasons?
Yeah, because you were like, I should have taken this.
No.
Okay. Do you think rejection is a gift?
Yes.
Is vulnerability a strength?
Yeah.
Is starting small underrated?
Underrated. If I say yes, does that mean I agree? Is starting small underrated? Yes, you should start
Mm,
small. Yes.
okay. Okay. Do you believe authenticity always shine through an image?
No.
Have you ever felt more at home in a character than in your own skin?
No.
Do you believe success without pain exists?
No.
Have you ever considered leaving acting behind?
Nah.
Okay. Has modeling ever healed you?
No.
Have you, do you think the world still values great storytelling over quick entertainment?
I hope, but no. We'll see.
All right. All right. Do you believe patience is more valuable than speed in a creative career?
Yes.
And do you think the industry is changing for the better?
No.
Okay. And a bonus question, can you cry on cue?
Yes.
There you go. Pretty cool. Now, if this conversation was the last time you ever spoke about your craft, what would you want to leave behind in people's hearts?
I think we kind of touched on this earlier with talking about improv as a form of social work. I think the overall idea is that, like, art heals and art brings people together, and I love this craft and I love what I do with everything in me, mostly because of who I'm becoming through it. Like, I am becoming the best, most fullest, freest, honest version of myself, and I think everyone who performs like that and performs with integrity is in this industry for all the right reasons and moves with love and intention and kindness, I think they are becoming the best version of themselves. And as we collaborate and work together, we are creating a more, like, truthful, collaborative, kind world. And I love it, and it dispelling that idea that, like, acting is a lie. I think flipping it on its head and seeing it as something that's healing and nourishing and playful is the best thing I can say about it.
All right. I love it. Then my last question here, so we can all enjoy and relax after an epic chat. So, what do you think that could be the best title for this episode?
I don't know. I might need your help on this one. I think something like coming home to yourself or the power of presence, like something that feels like at home and fulfilling to yeah, I don't know. Yeah. What do you
Okay.
think?
Let's see here. What about I mean, just throwing names randomly. First one, Finding Your Way Home, or
Finding or fighting?
Finding,
Finding. I like that.
Finding Your Way Home. Yeah, maybe that one.
I like that.
Because it's kind of a little bit of the whole, yeah, it was kind of the what we created in this conversation, right? To kind of finding your way home, but to yourself, to yeah. So I think that kind of resonates with this whole thing.
Yeah, yeah, I like that.
Okay. And I mean, what can I say? At the end, it's incredible what you do. I love it. The fact that you're doing it because it makes you happy. As simple as it may sound, we all know that usually doing something outside the typical 9 to 5 tends to be a little bit of a pain in the butt sometimes. But you're making it happen. That's pretty cool. But what what I can take more, yeah, like what I can take the most about your whole career is that you're not also creating cool characters, cool stories. You're showing us that dreams can come true. And I do think that something so positive as that can actually heal, especially now in this crazy, messed up world we're currently living in. The fact that we can rely on you, who is someone who is doing it, and and because you're showing that dreams can come true. That is amazing. That's badass. And now we discover why you're badass. So here we go.
Thank you.
Absolutely. I do want to thank also those who stayed the whole episode. Let us know what you think in the comments below. But by this point, come on. You should know why Violet is super badass. Let's follow her. Let's share some love. Hashtag Team Violet. And again, thank you for making this happen. Keep shining out there. Keep rocking. Keep kicking ass. And I'll definitely be seeing you in the next one.